Though Nurgle is the Lord of Death, he is also the God of rebirth. Nurgle understands that he brings decay to all things, but that decay also leads to rebirth. Hi guys, David here. So, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed last week's video on Khorne. So this week we're just going to discuss Nurgle. I know he's the third god and I've jumped past Zench, but this one felt more like something I could talk about, because unlike the other gods, this is one lore-wise I never thought I would follow until, well, a couple of years ago, when I actually found a time when I would probably pledge myself to a god like this. So I thought it'd be an interesting one to talk. So before we get into things, this is going to be a bit of a heavy episode. We're going to discuss cancer and mortality, and if that's something that you don't think you could really stomach to talk about or listen to, just move on to the next episode. I understand it's a heavy topic, but it's something close to my heart, so sit back and hope you all enjoy. Nurgle was the third of the Chaos Gods to achieve sentience, and he was spurned on by mankind's fear of death. In his mind, nothing is permanent, so impermanence is definitely a very big thing in his lore. And he is there to usher in the end of everything. I never thought of Nurgle actually having anything appealing, except for maybe the taking away the pain of death. That's one of his big things. But this impermanence thing, it kind of surprised me. So years ago, while I was on a bit of a spiritual exploration, I attended a Buddhist temple in Belfast. We have two, actually attended both of them. And one of the teachings of Buddhism is impermanence, which is a big part of Nurgle's belief system. So what is impermanence and how does that apply? So all things physical and mental are in a constant state of flux. That's changing, arising, and dissolving. The dissolving part is probably where Nurgle comes into it. Now that's Buddhist beliefs, and there are Western philosophies that discuss this as well, but I never thought there was a sort of positive side to these, and I'm starting to look at them. For with Khorne last week, we discussed how rage is something that's genetic in us. We have a defense mechanism, and his use of that defense mechanism is a twisted version of it, and perhaps that's what it is with Nurgle, our fear of death and our need for things to change. If things don't end, then nothing can truly grow. It's one of the sad facts of the universe, that without death there really cannot be life. We must consume plants and animals to survive, as must other creatures. So, and yes, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, I understand that we don't all have to eat animals. I get that. Just in case you're commenting below, I'm preempting this. Yeah. But that's where I am on this one. I just found that a really interesting belief of it. Unlike his siblings, Nurgle is filled with the light of being a part of the lives of mortals. He is the creator of infections and epidemics. Every cough and every cancer all come from him. So thanks, Nurgle, for COVID. Maybe it's the orphan child in the street, or the emperor brought to ruin by plague. All are forced by Nurgle to obey his will. Like many Chaos Gods, Nurgle's true form is complex and ever-changing. He is unfathomable to the mortal mind. What few records we have describe him as monstrous and bloated. His skin is rotten and leathery, with decaying organs oozing fluids through the rips in his skin. He is a huge pile of rot and decay. But within this decaying body there is a heart, and that's what makes him truly special. I've been a 40k fan for a long time. I don't play like I used to. I do the gaming now and I read the books, but I'm still a fan of the lore. I used to do tabletop when I had money. Mortgage kind of ruins that. And I never got Nurgle. I remember reading this great little comic from the Black Library involving, I believe it was a Kaldis assassin, who was there to kill some planetary governors that had gone rogue, and it's revealed that they are all now mutated into the one big Nurgle demon. And I never understood, why would anyone want to worship Nurgle? That makes no sense. That thing's disgusting. Why would you want to be disgusting? And then I would read about Mortarion and his legion getting infected with the Destroyer Plague, and when they're in absolute pain, these super soldiers, demigod leader, of these super soldiers begs for relief, and he's given it by Nurgle. And I think to myself, what an absolute chump. Just accept your death and die with a bit of honour. And then in 2022 I got cancer. And my perspective kind of changed. So, if you have never had it, at least for what I had, it wasn't that bad. It's the chemo that was bad. Oh my god. So I had surgery to remove it, and then it turned out it had spread throughout my body. Pretty much from just above my stomach to top of my legs. So I had to do some chemo to get rid of it, and it wasn't pleasant. I did 3 intensive weeks, followed by 3 more intensive weeks, followed by 3 more, followed by 3 more. I didn't take a break. I probably should have, but I was in a rush to get back to my job. Kind of stupid. And for the most part, it got worse. It's I'll be honest, the first 3 weeks aren't bad. I still have my hair, and I remember talking to my cancer nurse Mel, who is an absolute legend, by the way, that I feel great, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep my hair fantastic. And she just looked at me and was like, oh, no, you're not. Week 4 and 5, that's when you lose it. And that's when you really get a slow and then eventually quick descent into pain. And by the last round of it, I remember it was Easter Sunday that year. I was supposed to go to Star Wars Celebration in London. I couldn't go, so my partner and a very good friend of ours went instead. And what happened was I was in agony. By that point there, those last couple of weeks, particularly that weekend, they told me that was my worst. I couldn't lie down. I had a PICC line on my arm as well that helped put the chemicals into me. It was broken, so my arm was in agony. There was literally staples ripping out of my skin. That wasn't fun. We couldn't do anything about it because we couldn't get removed. It was actually stuck. That was great. There was a whole surgery to get that out after. But I was shivering. I couldn't stay comfortable. I couldn't eat anything. I was throwing up. I lost all my hair. My joints hurt. My muscles hurt. And I just was terrible. I was in and out of the bathroom. Not my finest look. And also, I had no hair on my body. Fun fact about chemo, I know you lose your hair up here. They didn't tell me you lose all of it. I kept the eyebrows and that was it. So I was at my absolute worst. And I remember going through it at the start and I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. And see, by those last week or two, oh yeah, I remember going to hospital to get my drugs put in me and just sitting staring out a window for hours, and I would have given anything to get the pain out of me or to pass it on to someone else. I'm a little bit ashamed of that. I'm quite ashamed of that. And that was only for, 2 weeks max? And I'm lucky because my health insurance, I have private health insurance, made sure that I was fully paid as well while I was off work. And not only that, I didn't have to even fight for that because my bosses at the time really took care of me. The headquarters of our company, fantastic what they did for me. But yeah, I won't lie, I was in so much pain and so miserable and at my absolute lowest. If a dark god came to me at that point, was like, I can take all your pain away, without reading the fine print, I would be like, sign me up, please. That's it, and that's how Nurgle gets you, especially because, unlike the other dark gods, he comes at you with a smile. I don't think he's entirely honest, because I don't think he's going to be like, yep, I'll take away the pain, but you're going to look like me. I think you're that desperate, you sign on the dotted line and you don't think about it. And that's where Nurgle gets you. So what does Nurgle's relief look like? You will come to Nurgle for relief from disease and hold off the slow march of death. If you accept his release, you will feel no pain and be filled with utter joy. It's as if the curtain has been pulled back and you're seeing the world for what it truly is. You'll be filled with glorious purpose, and Nurgle will then give you his wonderful gifts. These gifts will let you take on the appearance of the Lord of Decay himself. You'll bloat, you'll rot, but you'll thrive. And at the end of the day, Nurgle will always love you. And to really hammer on how much Nurgle loves you, we're going to put Kugath. Kugath is a Nurgling, or was a Nurgling, so they're like tiny little versions of Nurgle. And they're kind of cute if they aren't, diseased little monsters, but he would just sit on Nurgle's shoulder all day while Nurgle was brewing up his diseases, and he'd sit and sing and be happy about it. And then one day when Nurgle was brewing over his cauldron, Kugath fell in. And he drank and drank and drank, and he absorbed all of this plague into himself, and he became a greater demon, like Nurgle's chief demon. And he immediately apologized to his papa. He's like, I'm sorry, I drank this up. Nurgle didn't get mad at him, he was proud of him, because he went from little to big, and all he asked of him is to go forth and spread this disease. He showed him nothing but love and pride. And there's another thing. We live in a world where everyone wants to tear you down. Could you imagine having someone who has your back no matter what? Okay, yeah, he molds you into a twisted version of yourself that's more like him, but he loves you at the end of the day. That's a lot. That's another reason why I could see people falling for Nurgle's charms. So yes, you've reached the end of the video. Now I have to ask you, would you fall for Nurgle's charms, or would you hold out for another god? Because personally, if I was in, decent enough health, it's gonna be Slanesh. But we'll talk about that in a later video. But anyway guys, if you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. My name is David, this is the Congruent Chronicler, and stay tuned for next Tuesday because we're going to have another video out. See yous.